Okay, welcome back everyone here on Vintage Noise. Let's jump right in today. We're looking at a really specific slice of Mercedes-Benz history.
We are. We're talking about the W105.
The W105.
Specifically, the Type 219. Now, this car, it sometimes gets a bit lost between its more famous siblings, but it tells this fascinating story about strategic engineering back then. And it had a really short run, just 1956 and 1959.
4 years only.
Yeah. And if you know the Mercedes Ponton, look, that post-war, modern, unitary body.
Oh, yeah, iconic.
The W105 is definitely part of that family. But it had this really unique place, both financially and in how they actually built it.
Unique seems like the right word. Because Daimler-Benz, back in the mid-50s, they needed more options.
Exactly. The market was asking for it. They had the smaller four-cylinder cars, like the 180.
Workhorses.
Right. And then they had the big, expensive top-of-the-line six-cylinders, the 220s. The W105 was engineered really to slot right into that gap between them.
Filling a hole in the lineup.
Precisely. It was a very deliberate move to offer a six-cylinder, but maybe without all the bells and whistles. They even called it a sort of no-frills six internally.
No-frills six. Interesting framing from Mercedes.
Well, the idea wasn't just make it cheaper. It was offer this six-cylinder feel and prestige, the performance edge, but without the full cost that came with the bigger chassis.
So still positioned as a luxury car, an F-Class car, but more accessible.
That's it. Still F-Class in their books, yeah.
And that short production window, just 56 to 59, really highlights that, doesn't it? It was almost like a tactical model.
Absolutely. A gap filler, like you said.
Yeah.
And the numbers show it, too. Over those 4 years, they built, let me check, 27,845 of them.
Okay.
And get this, unlike some other Pontons where you saw coupes, cabriolets, fuel injection later on.
Right. Different variants.
The 219 sedan was it. That was the only W105 variant they ever made, period. Wow.
One job, one car.
Exactly. A very specific tool for that market moment.
Okay, so let's get into the really interesting part, let's call it the famous secret of the W105, because this is where you see that mid-century corporate thinking, maybe efficiency, maybe just cleverness.
Or audacity, perhaps?
Maybe. It's known for being this mashup of existing platforms, a car of two halves, really.
Oh, it absolutely was. It's component engineering, taken to a fascinating level. Mercedes wasn't about to design and tool up a whole new body for this sort of stopgap model.
Too expensive.
Way too expensive. So they went shopping in their own parts bin. They needed the space up front for that longer straight six engine.
Right. The four-cylinder engine bay wouldn't cut it.
No way. So they took the entire front section, everything from the windshield pillar forward, from the bigger, fancier W128, the 220 model.
A whole front clip?
The whole thing. That gave them the engine bay lengths they needed. Plus, it gave the car that impressive long hood line. Visually, it shouted six-cylinder.
Okay, wait. So they took the front structure, the expensive part needed for the six, and they literally bolted it onto the back half of the cheaper four-cylinder cars, the W120, W121, the 180s, and 190s.
That's exactly what they did.
Doesn't that seem, a bit jarring? A risk for a brand like Mercedes, known for coherent design.
You'd think so. It sounds like it could look really strange, like a Frankenstein car. But the Ponton design itself, that rounded shape, was actually pretty good at hiding the seams visually. But you're right about the risk. The compromise wasn't just visual, it was about space and luxury. They basically decided passenger room and comfort in the rear was less important than hitting that price point.
So using the smaller car's rear body saved money on, stamping materials?
All of that. A shorter wheelbase, narrower body, less steel, simpler structure, huge cost savings.
So if I'm looking at one today, standing outside a W105, what's the dead giveaway? The easiest way for you, the listener, to spot this two halves design.
The easiest tell is definitely the rear doors.
The rear doors, okay.
Because they use the shorter cabin from the 180 and 190, those rear doors are visibly shorter than the ones on a proper 220.
Makes sense.
And the glass is the key. The W105 rear door has just one single solid piece of window glass. Crucially, it's missing the little triangular vent window, the quarter light or opera window that you always see on the bigger six-cylinder Pontons.
Ah, no little vent window in the back door?
Nope. See that solid pane of glass? And you're looking at the 219, the result of that cost-cutting combination.
That is a fantastic detail. That single piece of glass tells the whole story. Okay, so they save money on the body structure. What about inside? Did the compromise continue in the cabin?
Oh, absolutely. You step inside a W105, And the strategy is just as clear.
Yeah.
The full-fat 220s had all that lovely polished wood trim across the dashboard, right?
Yeah, very luxurious.
The W105, nope.
Well.
They got the simpler interior treatment from the smaller cars. Think simpler gauges, less chrome trim.
And materials.
And the big one.
Yeah.
Instead of wood, they use Bakelite. Lots of Bakelite trim. Very durable, very practical.
But not very luxurious compared to walnut burl.
Exactly. It screamed intermediate model.
So it's like you're sitting there, you feel the smooth power of the six-cylinder engine under that long bonnet, but you look around the dashboard and you're instantly reminded you didn't spring for the top model. A bit of a psychological game for the owner, maybe?
I think so. It was the compromise you accepted for the price. You bought the engine, you bought the prestige of the long hood, but you didn't quite get the full six-cylinder cabin experience.
Which brings us neatly to that engine. They went to all this trouble to fit the M180 straight six. What was it actually like, performance-wise?
Well, the M180 itself was a known quantity for Mercedes. Very solid engine, 2,195 cc displacement, proven technology.
Reliable.
Very. And the way they tuned it for the 219 reflected its place in the range. It was, adequate, smooth, definitely smoother than the 4s, but not exactly a powerhouse.
Okay, the figures here say 86 PS. That's about 85 horsepower at 4,800 RPM.
That's right.
And torque, 157 Newton meters, or about 116 pound-feet, peaking quite low down at 2,400 RPM.
Yeah, good low-end pull, which made it feel flexible around town.
And top speed, 148 kilometers per hour, which is, 92 miles per hour? What does that tell us? Was it meant for the Autobahn?
It could certainly handle highway speeds, yeah. Much better than the 4-cylinders, which, struggled to get much past 80 miles per hour. So it could keep up, cruise comfortably, but it wasn't designed to be a sports sedan or anything.
Right. And the fuel system reflects the cost thing, too, I imagine.
It does. It used a double downdraft Solex carburetor, a 32 PAT model specifically.
Okay. Sounds technical. What does that mean in practice?
It means it was reliable, relatively simple to work on, and crucially much cheaper than the complex mechanical fuel injection systems Mercedes was starting to put in their really high-end cars around that time. Again, managing cost.
So, decent performance, manageable running cost. What about the rest of the mechanicals? Transmission, suspension, still that solid Ponton engineering?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
The standard gearbox was a 4-speed manual.
Column shift.
Yep, operated by the classic lever on the steering column. Freed up space for a potential middle passenger on the front bench seat,
Right. And suspension. Same as other Pontons.
Pretty much the standard Ponton recipe. Up front, you had independent suspension with double wishbones and coil springs. Very modern for the time.
And the back, the famous swing axle.
The very same. Swing axle, rear suspension with coil springs.
Yeah.
Gave good ride comfort, good wheel articulation on bad roads, but, well, as you know, it had certain handling quirks you had to respect, especially if you were pushing it.
Definitely needs respect. And brakes.
Drum brakes all around, 230-millimeter diameter.
Drums. Adequate for the job.
Yeah, for the car's weight and speed back then, they were fine. But interestingly, power assistance for the brakes, brake booster, was an optional extra.
Ah, another cost saving if you didn't tick the box.
Exactly. Always giving you the option to stick closer to that lower base price.
It really hammers home that this car was just laser focused on hitting a specific market niche efficiently. Okay, fast forward 60-odd years. How does this unique hybrid six-cylinder fare in today's classic car market?
Well, the market kind of reflected its unusual status. It's desirable because, hey, it's a Mercedes six-cylinder Ponton.
Right, pedigree.
But it's sometimes seen as the lesser six compared to a 220S or SE. So the Classic.com market benchmark, the CMB, for the W105 Type 219 currently sits around, $10,881.
$10,000. That actually sounds quite reasonable for a classic Benz with a 6.
It's a relatively accessible entry point, yeah. But that number hides a huge range depending on condition. It's dramatic, actually.
How so?
You see really top examples cars described as original and highly original, maybe perfectly restored, asking for serious money.
Like?
Well, there was a 58 model listed recently in Arizona. Asking price was $35,995.
Wow, okay, so nearly 36 grand for a perfect one.
Yeah, it shows people do appreciate a really good one, especially with the six-cylinder.
But then, the other end of the scale. Project cars.
Oh, the floor drops right out. We've seen examples like a 59 project car in California with a last asking price of just $1,500.
$1,500.
Yeah. And even the highest bids recorded for non-running project cars seem to top out around $5,000 or $6,000.
That is a massive difference between a project and a show car. What drives that huge gap specifically for the W105? Is it just restoration costs in general?
Its restoration costs amplified by that unique construction we talked about.
Ah, the two halves problem comes back to bite you.
Exactly. Imagine you've got rust. If it's in the rear door skin or the rear quarter panel, you need parts from a W120 or W121, the four-cylinder cars.
Yeah.
If you've got rust in the inner fender up front, or the engine bay structure needs work, you need W128 parts, the 220 parts.
Oh man, that sounds like a nightmare for sourcing parts.
It can be. Cross-referencing part numbers, finding good used panels from two different model ranges. The labor costs for bodywork can just skyrocket. Only someone really dedicated or doing the work themselves would tackle a basket case 219.
That makes total sense. The very thing that made it efficient to build back then makes it potentially very expensive to restore now.
Precisely.
Any other interesting quirks from the market data? Transmissions, maybe?
Well, sticking to that no-frills idea, the vast majority you see for sale are manual transmission cars. That column shift four-speed.
As expected.
But we do see exceptions. There are records of a few, particularly 1958 models sold over in Europe, Netherlands, for instance, that were fitted with automatic transmissions.
Really? An auto box in the budget 6?
Yeah. So even though it was meant to be more basic, some original buyers were clearly willing to pay extra for the convenience of an automatic.
Fascinating. And where do these cars turn up mostly? Is it global classic?
Oh, definitely. The data shows them popping up all over. Consistent sales in the U.S., Arizona, California, Florida seem common, and equally across Europe, Netherlands, Belgium, even Ireland. It definitely has that global appeal.
Despite, or maybe because of, its unusual origins.
Yeah, I think the W105 Type 219 will always be this kind of benchmark example of Mercedes finding a way, creating perceived luxury through sheer engineering efficiency. Taking that premium six-cylinder front end, meeting it to the economy rear. It's the ultimate sophisticated parts in special, really.
It's a fantastic story of product planning, meeting engineering ingenuity in that post-war boom. And it seems like it did its job, gave people a six-cylinder Mercedes experience at a price they could manage with those classic Ponton looks.
It absolutely delivered on its specific mission, which, leads to a final thought, something for you listeners to maybe chew on.
Okay.
The W105 basically proved back in the 50s that you could merge two quite different existing cars, a luxury front, an economy rear, and create a new successful model without really hurting the brand's overall premium image.
That's true.
So, does that pioneering corporate parts bin engineering, as we called it, does it make you think differently about car manufacturing today? All the shared platforms, the modular components we see now across different brands and segments, are modern car makers just iterating on the clever blueprint that Mercedes-Benz, perhaps unintentionally, laid down way back then with the Type 219?
That's a great question. Is everything old new again? Something definitely to think about next time you're looking at a modern car lineup.